Hi everyone, welcome back to Be Rich. We have Sashwath with us again today, and he's brought us a few interesting articles which he's been following on Financial Times. So I thought he could share it with us, and then we can talk about it further. So, what are the two articles you're reading today, Shashwat?
The first article which I looked at was on gold, which I shared with you. It's
Hmm.
basically talking about the rally in gold prices. And the second article which I wanted to talk about was the Warren Buffett article. The article basically covers what Warren Buffett is doing right now, what's the game plan, and what the macroeconomic conditions look like under which he's doing what he's doing. So the article, I mean, no one knows exactly what's going on in the mind of Warren Buffett or Charlie Munger. So it's difficult to sort of pin that down. So I wanted to bring it up and toss it up with you and see what you think about it. So we can start with
Sure,
gold.
done.
I'll summarize what the article has said, and then we can discuss some of the finer points. So with gold, what the article is basically talking about is the rally in gold, and gold has had a tremendous rally in the past year. It's gone up by over 6%, and in the past 5 years, gold has rallied by over 50% in terms of the dollar. So gold has had a tremendous performance. And the thing with gold is after the 2008 financial crisis, when it peaked, gold has been an underperformer compared to stocks, not in terms of the INR, mind you, in terms of the US dollar. But gold has been an underperformer in terms of the US dollar compared to the S&P 500, which with lackluster returns. But things have changed. Things changed during the COVID-19 pandemic, and the after which you had the banking crisis, and then now you sort of have inflation, and you don't exactly know where the macroeconomic situation is going. You have the US debt ceiling information, which has come out now. So the idea here is that gold is an asset which is a safe haven, the ultimate safe haven, if you will, which people flock to in times of distress when you don't really trust the dollar or anything else. So those are the conditions under which gold perform. But the peculiarity of gold as an asset is because it doesn't offer any yield per se. That is, if you go to the store today and buy 10 grams of gold, you can keep it for, let's say, 100 years, but 100 years later, all you'll have to show for the investment you made 100 years ago is just the 10 grams which you had bought. It doesn't give you the dividend yield which stocks give you, neither does it give you the bond yield which a debt instrument does give you. And even keeping money in your bank account gives you an interest rate yield, which gold doesn't do. So that's why Warren Buffett sort of hates gold. He says that it's an unproductive asset. It's a waste of money. Don't keep it. Don't keep holding on to it. Buy something productive. And another thing which Warren Buffett says is always bet on America. But we'll come back to Warren Buffett. But the gold article also highlights how central banks have been buying bullions and bullions worth of gold over the past year. And I also wanted to know what you think is going to happen with gold over the next few years.
Well, there's a couple of interesting points. First is this all ties down to what's happening geopolitically. And this question of after the Russian invasion of Ukraine and the fallout of this is what has led to the central banks leaning towards gold. Because what happened as soon as Russia invaded Ukraine was the Americans started weaponizing the dollar. Till then, Americans weaponized the dollar only against Iran, and they really didn't care about that much. Iran is like a small country for as far as the rest of the Europeans are concerned, and the rest of the developed nations are concerned. They really didn't care about it. But what led the central banks to get really sit up and take notice is the way they weaponized the dollar and against Russia. Not only them, then they got their allies in Europe and the UK to also weaponize in
Yes.
coordination with them. And this led to central banks getting scared and saying, hang on a second, because we use dollars to trade, we use dollars to make payments, we use dollars to do everything a country does in and out of a country. It all happens through the dollar. The INR stops at the border and only comes back as INR at the border. After when it
Yeah.
leaves the border, it changes to dollars and it goes to whatever country and becomes that country's currency. But the in between transactions all happen on dollar. And the central bank said, okay, if they can do this to Russia, they can do this hypothetically to anybody for any reason. Yes, it might be a valid reason for some people saying, okay, they invaded a free country, Ukraine, so they needed to be punished or whatever. but that decision was made unilaterally by the Americans. It wasn't like sat down as a global, everyone sat down around a table and had a discussion and decided, okay, what Russia is doing is bad. America led this as a spearhead, and so it can happen for any reason to you. So the central bank said, okay, the only way we can hedge against this and be some have some form of security is to go to back to gold. And why do we go back to gold? Before Richard Nixon decoupled the dollar, actually everything was based on gold.
Yes.
It's actually turning the clock back to 1970s in a very weird way. Without it being coupled back, currencies being coupled back to gold, what's happening with central banks is they're going back to gold standard. Meaning, in
Yes.
the sense that now, if I want to exchange with a country without dollar and we don't have another reserve currency to play with, the best way we
Yes.
can exchange now is actual gold,
Gold.
which countries used to do way back. You will send those Spanish famous 1700s and 1800 pirate movies are all based on that. Because the Spanish crown will send ships from Spain, and ships will be coming back from the New World back to Spain carrying gold to
Yeah.
make payments. Everything the crown wanted to pay, from including paying for building a road, building a church, someone had to be paid, and these gold coins were used. So it's literally
Yes.
going back to that. This is why central banks are in a binging process of gold. They're trying to
Mm.
secure themselves. A lot of countries, including the Chinese central bank, have a lot of dollars sitting with them. And they don't want to be just relying on dollar anymore. They want to diversify. And the only thing they can diversify is into
Is
gold.
gold.
What? Yeah,
Yes.
this is us on a central bank level. Now, on a personal level, as an investor, Warren Buffett is right. Gold has no value. You can't, we don't, if you look at the chart and pull up and see in 2022, where majority of the world's gold is sitting, it's either sitting as jewelry, gold bullions, or,
Yeah.
metals and coins. If you remove all that, very little gold is used in any industry. Gold
Only eight
actually cannot,
percent I guess.
yeah, it's a non-reactive metal which really you can't do anything with it. Copper, that way you pull up copper and see what copper is being used in. It's being used in electronics, it's being used in all kinds of industries. So copper, that way, looking at gold, and in that article he nicely says that a lot of gold mining companies, he says 10 years from now, most of them gold mining companies will be copper mining companies.
Copper mining companies. Yeah.
He says because wherever you find lots of gold, you find lots of copper.
Yes.
So most of them will slowly pivot themselves to mining copper, because mining gold is also such a huge carbon footprint. It's very bad for the environment the way gold is mined and it's used, and it's not a productive metal. So
Yes.
as an investor, like what Warren Buffett said, it is on no value. Like you rightly said, I buy 10 grams of gold and I keep it, and I leave it for my kids. My kids will only get 10 grams of gold,
Yeah.
and there's no way of knowing how gold markets will perform. If I bought gold right before the financial crash in 2008 to now, like you said, it's an underperforming asset,
Yeah.
and we always
Yeah.
have to measure these assets against a dollar. You should not waste time measuring it against Indian rupee, because the rupee is
Right.
being pushed down,
Depreciated.
and yeah, it's being allowed to fall down because we want to keep our exports competitive and all that. So don't look at it in rupee terms at all. Always look at it in dollar terms. And if you look at
Yes.
it in dollar terms, it's not gone anywhere. And there are a lot of guys who are gold, people who believe in gold, who are
Gold bugs.
strong,
Yeah.
yeah. And they keep saying it's going to happen, it's going to happen, it's going to happen. Yes, eventually everything will happen. Why not? Gold maybe even go to 10,000. I don't know. Maybe it will. But will I be alive to see it? I don't know.
Yeah.
As an investor, you also have a time window to play with. You're not a central
Yes.
bank. You're not a country where your time span is 100 years, 500 years, 600 years. Your time
Yeah.
span is limited to maximum 40, 50 years. And whatever investments you make, one is to give you security, the other is to give you returns to enjoy your life.
Yeah.
That's why even Anand says you just need enough gold as a security. In case something happens, you have a goal to fall back on. Beyond
Right.
that, as an investment, as an investor, it is of no
It's
use.
a poor
So that's
investment.
why,
Yeah.
yeah. So even reading these articles you see in the news saying gold prices are going up, it's a great time or it's a bad time. As an investor, it's just noise. Like Warren Buffett says, yeah, sure. Okay, gold is going up. So what? It's
Yeah.
literally the gold is going down. Okay, so what? And Americans are not passing the debt ceiling. So what? It's like all investing books say you pick the industry, pick the company, and invest in that company, invest in that business, and forget about it. So, yes, gold is going through a cyclical thing. And the article also very nicely says gold always spikes. So, you do not know if this is an upward trend or if it's just a spike.
Yeah.
Suddenly markets are very finicky. Tomorrow morning, the debt ceiling is passed, and suddenly something happens in Ukraine, and Ukraine looks like Russia. They come to some peace table, Tawak, the gold price went just like,
Yeah.
you've been holding on to it thinking for dear life, and suddenly everyone's walked away from the dance party and you're holding all the chairs in your hand.
Gold. Yeah.
So, yeah, unless you have some fascination with gold, I don't know what it is, why you need to hold on to gold. And if you notice, from my generation to your generation, people are more and more not interested in gold anymore.
Yes, that's true.
This used to be a fascination in your grandparents and even older than that. They used to feel a sense of security holding on to gold. Your Mangal Sutra has to be gold, and you have to give so much of gold in the wedding. Now nobody wants gold in their wedding. They're like, "Where are you sending me for my honeymoon? Is a photographer
Yeah.
coming with me to take photos of me?" You know,
Yeah.
Spending seems to be the new thing, and gold is. I don't see it coming back to what it used to be because it really doesn't have any value. You can't eat it. You can't do
Yeah.
anything with it. You can't build a house with it. You can't. So it's just something on a central bank level. It's a different story. Between
Mhm.
countries is a different story because they need something to trade with, something to
Yes.
barter with between countries. But on a personal level, I don't think this article you should put too much water on, worry about it like Warren Buffett says. And it's a great
Right.
time to jump into that article, second article that you were talking about, Warren Buffett's
Yeah.
article.
That's what I was thinking. So Warren Buffett, so the second article basically talks about what Warren Buffett is doing right now, and tying into the markets in the U.S. markets at least. Warren Buffett feels it's too expensive, and Charlie Munger had said so as much in the article itself. He said to the FT, he said that we're so big that for us to find opportunities where it's profitable for Berkshire Hathaway, it's not too many that where it'll make a noticeable difference to Berkshire Hathaway because they have $150 billion and excess every year that they keep adding on to the $150 billion out of the dividends and out of the free cash flow they're spewing. So the idea here is that they're strapped for investment opportunities, but they're not strapped for cash. And funnily enough, the article says that Warren Buffett can just straight up go and buy Goldman Sachs and Martin Lockheed just like that. One day they could just pass a check and buy the complete company altogether. But so that's the amount of cash they're sitting on. They're like a mini country themselves. So the idea with what Warren Buffett has done in the past quarter is he's sold a lot of equity. He's bought some equity, but not as much as he's sold. About $14 billion in equity he's sold, but only he's bought about $2.2 billion in equity. Again, one quarter doesn't say much or you can't make it into anything. But it's clear that he's sort of sitting on his money, and what he's done is he's pivoted into countries where the PE is lower in the general market. So the Nikkei index, where the PE is much lower than what it is in the S&P 500, or rather the companies which he likes are trading at a lower PE. Like your trading corporations, so Mitsubishi and those companies, which we talked about in another video. So the idea here is that Warren Buffett is pivoting away from America, but his motto has always been always bet on America, never bet against America. So what do you think of this?
Well, he's not betting against America. The problem for him is not America. The problem for him is he's Warren Buffett.
Yeah.
And fundamentally, he's become so big, he can't be a part-time investor anymore. Meaning, he cannot be entering into companies, walking in, just take some profits and walk out.
Yes.
He's the thing for Warren is he's good at putting money where finding a place for money to grow and putting it, and that's his one strength. He's got so much of money now. He can create an Apple, he can create a
Yes.
Starlink, he can create a Tesla, but he lacks the imagination to do that. Nor can he trust somebody enough to go give them the cash and say, okay, create me an Apple, or
Yeah.
create. So he's in a catch-22 situation. This is just problem only unique to Warren. For everybody investor, yes, what he says is true. You don't bet against America. Everything runs on the dollar, and America is pretty much all American companies are doing very well. Yes, they are expensive, but if you really look into the American plethora of stocks which are there, compared to Indian stock market. I'm sure there
You
are lots
definitely
of
have better
small.
value.
Yeah, you can make bets. You can put,
Yes.
but you can only put little money on the table. The problem for Warren is he's got a huge war hammer of a fist, and he has to put it on a small mousetrap. So he has to, if he finds a small company, there's no way he can place. If he places a bet so small, even he won't know that he placed a bet on it.
But yeah,
It might be a bet for $100 million. For you and me, that's a lot of money. For Warren Buffett,
yeah,
that's like a sneeze in the morning. So he will forget that he made a bet like that.
yeah.
So, so if he needs to make a bet, there has to be companies of his size to move his kind of money into, and those in America are too expensive for him. So that's
That's
what the
true.
problem for Warren is. So he's looking for big companies which are cheap outside US. But
Hmm.
that's another caveat for him, because when he goes buying into those companies have to be liberal democracy countries. Those
Yes,
companies have to have a stable currency. Those companies have to have a stable government and a stable future to look at. So if you look at that, that also narrows his list down to only one or two countries. He's
countries.
not
Yeah,
in India.
So as I was saying, the problem for Warren Buffett is, so whatever country he has to go to, it has to be democracy, liberal democracy, okay,
yeah.
and it has to have a stable currency, and it has to have a stable political platform. That's why he's not even entering India. There's lots of companies in India he can easily throw dollar into. So there's no point him throwing those dollars in, because the returns he'll see, he might as well just keep it as cash in the US. That's why
Yes,
FIs are pulling cash out of India. So the only countries he can look at is Japan,
right.
because China right now is too hostile between China and US. There are a lot of Chinese companies he would love to get into, but he
Yeah,
cannot
because
right now get into. Political
the
situation is
average.
such,
Yeah, sorry.
yeah, political situation is such that he can't walk into that minefield. So the only safe place, he's not like George Soros. He doesn't get into politics. So only
Yeah.
safe place for him to go and keep his money right now and look for better returns is Japan. So he's moving his money around in Japan.
The interesting thing with China is that also the Chinese PE is at 10 or 12. So your average Chinese company is actually there's a deep value buy in most Chinese companies. But then the problem with China, again, as you said, you don't know when they'll close it off and say, your money is our money. You didn't put any money
Correct.
here, goodbye.
Correct. This is a
Yeah,
fundamental problem for Warren Buffett. You correctly said it. And he's so big, he can't enter a country without being noticed. It's like a
that's
bull in
true.
a china shop. He walks in, everybody knows Warren Buffett walked in. I mean, to
Yeah.
the point, he doesn't even have to walk nowadays. He just has to look that side. Everyone knows he looked. Warren is looking that side.
It's like having ambulance chasers.
Yeah, and it's a very tough position for him to be in. If you ask me personally, he should be looking at finding guys like Elon Musk, finding Jeff Bezos. I would say he should spend more of his time trying to find new cutting edge inventor or a creator. No, next AI platform guy, invest into him. Like that's what Ratan Tata is doing. Ratan
Yeah.
Tata taking his own personal money and he's seed funding these guys, these up and coming startups in India. He says, okay, I make 100 bets. Out of those 100 bets, 10 turn out successful. Who knows? One might become the next TCS. I don't know.
Right.
I don't know. And Warren Buffett has got so much of money, he can definitely play the field, but it goes against his nature to do it.
His entire philosophy is that you stay within your circle of competence, right?
Correct. But your circle of competence, you grow so big, your circle of competence, and you are so the same size, then you
Yeah.
have no room more to move. You're like a
But
fat man trying to get through an eye of needle.
yeah, and but the thing with so now I want to bring it to sort of an Indian investor context.
Hmm.
For the Indian investor, I still think there is a case to be made for us to be able to buy US stocks, even though the average US stock is maybe slightly overvalued. Compared to India, I think you still have better buys over there, considering the exchange rate disparity as well.
I would say American stocks, there are some fundamentally very beautiful stocks that an Indian investor can invest into. You're not
Right.
Warren Buffett. You are investing very little money and you can enter very nice companies at very nice
Fair
evaluations.
valuations.
We are very
Yeah.
fair evaluations. As you, as a small investor, if you look at it, and the most important things are it's in US, it's an American company, and the same reason why you want to go in US and live is the same reason you'll want to invest in US.
The US. Yeah.
If you think I would love to go live in America, then investing in America is the most sensible thing to do.
And
And
with
even
the
if you don't want
political,
to go, even if you don't have the capacity to go yourself and you think your children are going to go there one day, nothing better
might as
than buying this and keeping it for them.
right. And I mean, there have been some concerns over capital flow. What if India says, "Oh, you can't pull out capital from abroad, or you can't put in money abroad"?
Listen, like Shakti Kanta Das says, anything is possible, everything is possible, nothing is happening, but everything is
Yeah,
good. Like, I mean, it makes no sense. But yes, our government can change its mind and do things. Yes,
when they're desperate.
yes, but you can't live on that possibility. No? Then you're being
True.
very pessimistic. Even Warren Buffett has to play with whatever he has. That's
Yeah.
why he's not going to China. The policies towards the US and China are changing, so he's pivoting away from China. Same way, you will also have ample time. If India looks like it's going to be closing the gates,
Then you
then
can
you
pull
have
out
more
before.
than enough time and opportunity and passage for you to pull your money out or to push ship yourself out.
And the another question I had was, is it better to, let's say, pick individual stocks in the US, or say, always bet on America and buy a cross section of America with the S&P 500 or the Dow Jones?
I don't know. My philosophy is always pick individual stocks. If you don't know anything and you don't have time to do any research, yeah,
Yeah,
then invest on the index. But then you won't be watching this channel. The reason why you're
true.
watching this channel is you're an investor and you're trying to find out how to put your money. You're interested in
In
increasing your
stocks.
knowledge. So that means you want to look at individual companies. And if you want to look for
Right.
some serious returns and big bag returns, then you have to pick individual stocks. If you're trying to make those like 20% gains, 40% gains, you have to pick on individual companies. And that too, you should only have a maximum list of 4 to 5 companies, maybe 8 companies at max, which you're betting on. So you
Right.
can, and you should be very prudent and careful in your selection and keep an eye on whatever you're investing and turn off the news on everything else. Once you pick your thing and you're locked and you're loaded, you forget about all the other noise. Like
Right.
your noise cancelling headphones, wear those and don't listen to the news too much and just track your companies.
Yeah.
And there's enough companies in the US where you can make a bet right now
Yeah,
and
the
make,
market is very deep.
yeah, and you'll make very handsome returns. And America is a huge, huge country. I mean,
Yeah.
you can't even imagine the size of America. And most of America is empty space where lots of potential for lots of things to happen are there. And one thing about them is, like Anand says, whenever they get into trouble, they open their doors
Yeah.
and let people in. The only problem America could have is labor problems. They don't have enough people. All they have to do is open the door. There are enough people who want to leave, will dump their countries and go running to US if US says come.
Right.
If they just tell India right now, Indians can come in and we'll give them a residence card and on entry. I'll make a bet. India will see a sudden mass exodus from our big cities. Even people who are saying I hate America will be ready to pack up and go and try their lot over there.
Yeah.
Because the attitude will be okay, I'll go try it for a few years. Worst comes to worst, I can always come back home.
Yeah.
What do I have to lose? A couple of years? So it's not. It's okay to lose a couple of years. Let me go try it. Who knows? I might just make it there.
Right.
Yeah.
But yeah, so that's about it.
Yeah. So anyway, these are two interesting articles, two different perspectives on how the world is being viewed right now. One is the gold view, where everything is going to hell, so let's buy gold and sit on gold. The other is Warren Buffett's view, which is saying buying gold is of no use. Rather, that you look for places in the world which offer you better returns and park your money towards that. Forget the noise and focus on individual companies, is what Warren will say. So these are
Yeah.
two different views, and it's very interesting two articles which you shared with us today, Shashwath. Thanks for bringing it across today and sharing it with us.
Thank you.
And thanks again for joining us today at Be Rich. Please do subscribe to our channel and share this video with your friends and people you think would be interested in our content. And turn on the bell notification so whenever we put up new videos, you'll be able to catch us. Thank you again.
We had a meeting in Singapore. I was very pleased with the results. Indians received me with great love and affection, and I enjoyed my time in Singapore. The meeting was a big success, and I could meet a people from various walks of life. I miss going to Kuala Lumpur, which is very close to Singapore, just 4 hours drive, and I have been asked to come there. So my team decided on the 11th of June, Sunday, we would do an event in Kuala Lumpur. If you would like to meet me in Kuala Lumpur, kindly send a message at the WhatsApp number given below and or drop a mail to the mail ID given below. My team would contact you at earliest. Once again, I thank you for your support for Be Rich. It's a great privilege and honor that so many of you in thousands have subscribed to my channel and have supported me. I have written 2 books in English, The Alchemy of Money and Ordinary Stocks, Extraordinary Profits. These books are published by us and are ready. If you want to procure a copy, send us a message to the WhatsApp number given below and my team would respond to you. If you want an Amazon Kindle copy, you can click the link below. Finally, those who wish to consult with me can send a mail to berichenglish@gmail.com. Once again, I thank you for your support. If you like this video, press the subscribe button of my channel, hit the like button and turn on the bell notification.